I'll ask the follow-up question that I wanted to ask, which is, okay, what are the Americans doing here? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? They've brought in tremendous firepower, equal to most states, the amount of firepower that they've brought. Is that a good thing? So those are my two questions about Yemen and about America. Two carrier groups, and then another Marine group is here. I've also heard rumors, and I've seen some pictures, that the Delta Force is here. Special forces are operating inside of Gaza already, supposedly without weapons and just advising, but who believes that? And so, there's other players here. I have a very good source who told me that tons of equipment, U.S. equipment is heading here right now in terms of rearmament for Israel. And so, like, just everything from like 5.56 bullets of M16 bullets, things like that are running short, and there needs to be a resupply. That's happening. Okay, so like on the one hand, we're talking about a huge arsenal, probably also including nuclear umbrella as well, that has arrived here. At the same time, there's a sense that President Biden, who gave a great speech on the one hand, is also somebody who's already starting to hint through Anthony Blinken and himself that he wants a two-state solution. There's talk about re-empowering the PA and other solutions, including, what did I hear now? Saudi takeover of the Gaza Strip, a multinational takeover of the Gaza Strip. And we also know that President Biden, along with his predecessor, President Obama, were close to the Iranian regime, tried to make deals with them, tried to loosen succeeded in loosening what do we call the regime? When they block them from getting money, what's that called? I forgot the name, Richard. What's it called? Sanctions regime. That's right. Thank you. Undid the sanctions regime, allowed them to go towards a nuclear bomb, released $250 billion, maybe on even pallets of cash. Who knows? We're talking about people that have wanted the Iranians to come out of the little jail that they were in, have empowered them, and are now calling for a two-state solution. On the other hand, here they are defending Israel, rearming Israel. How are we to understand the presence of the U.S. superpower on our shores here?
In the same way as I believe that President Biden's foreign policy has been responsible for Russia invading Ukraine. In other words, the disgraceful and humiliating withdrawal of the US and NATO from Afghanistan. I think that empowered Putin and encouraged Putin to invade Ukraine. In the same way as that happened, I think I would lay at the door of the US foreign policy decision makers what's happening over here now, because we as you rightly laid out just then, we've seen years going back to the Obama administration and taken up again with the Biden administration. We've seen years of appeasement of Iran, encouragement of Iran, funding of Iran, allowing Iran to develop its nuclear weapons program, albeit pretending we're not doing that, but we are doing that. And then I think, more up to date than any of those things, we've seen the distancing of President Biden from the Israeli government, refusing to allow Prime Minister Netanyahu to be invited to the White House. These things, which I think all of them, when you put them together, encouraged and emboldened Iran to do what it's done now. So, I think that a lot of the blame for what's happened, obviously the blame is with Iran and with the terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, but I think a lot of culpability has to lie with the current US administration. But now they realize what they've done, I think, and they're absolutely terrified that they've let the genie out of the bottle here and have sent these massive forces to the region to try and contain it. And you mentioned the carrier strike group in the Eastern Mediterranean. The purpose of that is to deter Hezbollah from attacking Israel. I don't know how big a deterrent that is. I mean, I question whether that would actually be used. And if I question it, then I suspect Nasrallah questions it as well. And then there's the other carrier strike group, the Eisenhower carrier strike group, that is now directly threatening in the Gulf, directly threatening Iran in case it decides to either unleash Hezbollah or carry out some other form of intervention. So these things exist as deterrents. As far as US forces inside Gaza, I would take that with a bit of a pinch of salt, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if there aren't US special forces and British special forces here to do what they can to help the IDF in rescuing the hostages, if nothing else. And I think that would be an important contribution, and that using their expertise to help. But let's not forget, I mean, one comment I would make on all this is I don't believe the US should use its military force unless Israel is in a real struggle that it can't deal with. Because I think it's so important for Israel's regional deterrence and credibility that Israel is seen to fight its own war here, not rely on Big Brother from the US. But the final thing I'd say, we mentioned allied forces. We have Chinese warships in the region. We have Russian aerial surveillance and attack aircraft on 24/7 patrol in the region as well. So there are all the ingredients, and let's not even, I won't even mention them, but let's not forget Turkey and its stance on this. But you know, I think we've got all the ingredients for something getting really out of hand here. I hope it doesn't. I'm not suggesting it's going to, but there is the potential for a much wider conflict, I think, in this region.